What's up, everybody, man? Welcome back to Growth Talk Podcast, GSN Growth Talk Podcast. I'm your host, James Harris, with my co-hosts, Jamie and Nay. We're going to talk about how someone's disobedience can slow someone else's process. And so who wants to kick it off, or should I kick it off? It doesn't matter really on how you want to do it. I think it's a powerful topic, but whoever wants to kick it off can kick it off.
It is
I can definitely. Oh, look,
I was just saying it is a powerful topic, but yeah, go ahead, Nate, kick it off.
It definitely is a powerful topic. And look, thank you guys for allowing me the honor to go ahead and top it off. But your disobedience, again, like James said, your disobedience could slow down someone else's journey, their growing process, their learning process, whatever type of process that they're going through. So we have to continue to do what we supposed to do. So one thing, even for myself, because most of the time when I'm speaking to me too, it's the procrastination. I can hear God saying at different times to do this and do that, but when you are growing and when you are learning certain things and you get in an uncomfortable state, it'll kind of like a little bit of hesitation. And that's something that I'm learning to get out of. Like when he say do something, then do it. Or if something that has been on your heart for a long time to do, maybe call somebody. Call that person. Because 9 times out of 10, when you call that person and you just be like, man, I was just thinking about you, or you was on my heart, and they actually was needing somebody to talk to, something to be able to get out, or you even possibly had words that you didn't even know that you had for that person, just to be able to help them along the way, help them possibly from committing suicide, stopping them from possibly just giving up, just getting them in a bad depression state. So we just have to continue to do what we supposed to do in our position. So that's definitely important, knowing your position so that you can continue to be obedient and continue to do what you need to do. Because if you don't know, how do you know which way to move or which way to go? So that's just my thoughts on it. Just continuing to move forward and listen, and don't hesitate when you hear that other, do it, that voice to say, do it.
Yeah.
Sure. Facts.
I agree with what you said. I think one key thing, well, everything you said was key, but one thing I want to pull from that is knowing the position that you're in, because I think that's everything, to understand the purpose that you serve out there in the world. And you got sometimes challenges, everybody, when you go through challenges, at first it sucks. Don't nobody want to go through it. Let's be real. But going through it, it gives you the wisdom. God teaches you so much stuff for you to give other people. And a lot of times what we're going through isn't even for us, it's for the next person. And it may not even seem like that right away. And you won't even discover it until, until you've been through, or until you've gotten through it. And then someone comes along with the same type of situation, maybe different scenario, but same kind of thing. And then you realize oh damn, I can help you. I can give a suggestion or give advice through my experience because I was willing to walk through it to see it through, versus hiding or running away from it, because doing that, you can't help nobody. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my take.
And kind of piggyback off both, really. Not really piggyback, but kind of add to it, is the one thing you said was purpose. And then Nay, what you said, basically there's they go together, because the way I like to look at it is what you're going through. You have to kind of think of a mindset to where it's not even for you. And so if you think of it from that mindset of whatever you're going through isn't for you, it's helping the next person. And so if you were to be disobedient to it, you can never go through it. That way, if that other person has that conflict or, scenario, you can't help them because you didn't want to go through it. And so not only is it not making you stronger, it's not making them stronger. So they had to figure out on their own how to get through the steps, which could make them go through it faster if you already went through it. And so just being obedient to where, kind of like what you said earlier, Nay, is if you hear something, 9 times out of 10, and I don't know anybody's beliefs on here, not you guys, but anybody else that's watching, I don't know you guys believe, and I don't want to push you guys believe. 9 times out of 10, if you hear something that's from the unconscious, it's more so the God. You might not believe in God, but it's more so him, because there's been scenarios where I've had in my life, it was like, I just had a random thought. It's like, I know it's not my thought, but it's a random thought to where, hey, you need to do this. I can either say no, because you have the free will of choice. You can either say no, or you can do it. And so whatever you do on, either if it's a no or if it's a yes, you do it, figure out what happens afterwards. Because usually when you don't do it, something in your life does not change that you've been waiting on to change. If you do it, something happens, but then on the back end, it happens for a good reason.
Yeah.
And it just moments like that to where you have to obey certain things. You might not like it in the moment, but I guarantee you in the future, you will understand why it happened. And so that's kind of like my take to kind of add on to what you guys have been saying. It's like, just, you have a purpose on being obedient to certain situations, but it's like I said, it's not for you, it's for the person next that's coming behind you. And so you have to kind of think about it. So if you have kids, I know I'm rambling, but if you have kids, you have to think about it as, if you're going through something now, you're not helping you, you're helping your kids. If you have a sibling or you have a cousin, you're not helping you, you're helping them. If you have whatever you're going through, or whoever you're going through it for, you're not helping you. It's not about you, it's about them.
And that is so true. Because even with the speaking on the children aspect of it, it's like, if you don't go through this right now, different things, then your children is going to have to endure it. So when you know that it's something that you're supposed to address within yourself, maybe anger issues, maybe different things that wasn't good for you that you still haven't addressed, that you still putting off to the side, like, your children is going to have to endure that. And it's going to be in a different form, possibly, yes. But if, like, why would you, and this is my thought, because why would you not want to endure what you need to address for yourself? Because most of the time we put ourselves in different situations when we don't do what we're supposed to do, when we don't listen to that voice, and we have that consequence. So when it goes back to like the actual child receiving it now, because when you think of it, they're already going to have their own set of problems. Right. So with them having their own set of problems, and then now on top of their problems, now it's problems that you didn't address that you were supposed to, that they have to go through. Like, it's just not fair. Like, and I wouldn't want to put nothing on my children, that they shouldn't have to endure, because it does pass down. And that's where, even, I know this is off topic, but it goes to the generational curses, because you're not addressing certain things. You're letting it continue to go.
Yeah. And even so, it's like, if you do that and the person doesn't want to take advice, whether it's kids or cousin or aunt or uncle, if they don't take the advice, you already done your part. And so you can't really control the rest. You can't control the rest. So you can give your advice because you've done it, but at the same time, if they don't take it, you've already done your part. It's just like giving. You give, whatever the person does, whatever you gave, it's like, it's out of your hands. So that whatever else control it. But once it's done, it's done. It's like, you can't do anything else for it.
Okay. That's real. And then it gives people hope when you get through, because a lot of times people feel like they alone in a situation. And when you say like, oh, me too, because most time people quiet when they first going through stuff. They're not telling nobody, because they feel as if like, man, this may be a burden on you, or I don't want to worry you, or, man, no one will understand what I'm going through. And I speak all that from my experience of, what I've been through in my life and journey. And so, but then you discover like you're not alone. And when you realize that alone brings healing to your situation and helps and gives you the courage to walk through it and just know that everything's going to be okay. And I think a lot of times that's what people need. They need that hope and to know that everything's going to be okay. Like, in spite of this challenge, I'm going to see it through. I'm going to get to that other side. And then like Nate, what you were talking about too, about, your kids having to deal with things that we haven't addressed as adults. I think it's solely because, in my opinion, it's solely because if you don't get through it, you don't have the right tools to teach them how to get through it. Because life, they're gonna face similar things. You know what I mean? Like some of the things that we're dealing with, our parents dealt with, but we may be approaching it and looking at it from a different perspective because of what we're choosing to invest in, invest our time in, right? With growth and stuff. That's why that's so important, because when you're growing and you're intentional about your growth, you can pass that. Like a lot of times we get so caught up in money, passing that down, and that's great, right? We want to do that as well. But also you want to pass down the wisdom and the gems that you're learning, that's going to help them maneuver through this journey and know that it's okay. So that way, instead of, like my kid, they read certain books, that leadership books. I'm starting you off early. I'm not allowing you to wait till I waited till I'm in my 20s. If you start while you 10, 7, whatever, imagine where you will be by the time you get to junior high school. You get what I'm saying? Let alone in your early 20s and so forth and so on. So I think the more we invest in ourselves, and going back to just being obedient with, understanding it's not about us. You invest in your time and things that's going to help you grow is going to help, like you said, like y'all been saying, the next person. And that gives you the almost like ammunition to be able to teach, not in a negative way, but in a positive way.
There was two things you said too. Oh, go ahead, Nate.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, there was two things you said in there. It's like that I basically took as perspective is one, help. A lot of people don't want to ask for help, and that's what we talked about in our last podcast. If you ain't seen it, go watch it. And so we talked about asking for help. So there's a big ego that plays into that, where you think you're alone. Basically, that's the second part. You say people think they're alone when they're really not, and so it ties into them not asking for help. And so if they don't want to ask for help, how can you be helped? Because if you can't be helped, then you're just going to struggle through the whole thing. And I think that's a big issue when it comes to like just living in general. And how you said is like, if the knowledge, I think the knowledge, that's the second thing you said was I think the knowledge is more beneficial than the money. And there's a stigma that I mean, not a stigma, but it's like a pet peeve of mine too. I haven't heard many, but I've heard a few of like really rich people say they're not going to pass money down to their kids. And the only problem I had with that was, okay, so you want them to struggle. And so I get that you're rich and you worked hard for it, but why would you want your kids to go through the same thing? But at the same time, like you said, Jamie, if you pass down the knowledge, regardless if you go broke, you have the knowledge to build it back up. And so that's why I said, I think there's two ways you can go with it. But honestly, I think what you said is it's better when you come with knowledge rather than just passing down money, because if you're not knowledgeable about the money, you can still blow it.
Yeah. And the money not going to feel none of the things that you got to work on. So if I got a bad attitude, or if I'm, impulsive, or I easily get annoyed with things, right? The money, how is that now the money will be able to be used as a resource to invest in those things that's going to help those things. But if you're not doing that, it's not going to heal what you need to work on. So yeah. And I think too, James, like what you were saying about with people needing help or feeling like they're alone. I think as leaders, and I'm speaking to all leaders, like we have to be more transparent and vulnerable. Not saying tell all your business, right? But share some things to let people to give that environment, to establish and build that environment of safety where people can feel like they can open up and say, well, damn, me too. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes it takes a leader to say, I went through X, Y, and Z. You be like, all right, I ain't you happy again instantly.
Yeah.
What? I'm good then.
It's like, dang,
Right.
he is human or she is human. So
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
So yeah, that's my take on that too.
Yeah, because the way that the world is set up, so it's just like it's another world. So it's like people don't want to address or even come into reality. Like they want to stay over here on this side. And like you were saying, like because it is set up and designed that way, a lot of people are also afraid of being judged.
Mm.
Like and and it's so sad because it's like nobody can talk about nobody. Like, because we're all growing, we're all learning, we're all at a different season, we're all in a different, time. Like, so it's just, we have to also, because sometimes we can even do it unconsciously. And we have to be mindful of our words, like the words that we use when we are giving advice or trying to help someone, because we don't know how they're actually receiving it or even the mind state that they're even in to receive it. So that's when we even have to continue to ask for that discernment because of the words. Man, those words and they're powerful. They are so powerful. That's why we have to continue to speak life over ourselves and others. Like intentional, like wishing them well. Instead of when someone come to you with some good news, you can't even say congratulations. You would
yeah,
say,
that's
and,
definitely true.
and how did you get that? And
Yeah.
what did they say?
Yeah,
Like,
Or
you
did you
know,
think? Did you think about this?
yeah.
What?
right,
I didn't
Like I just
have
wanted,
right,
thought.
I just wanted to tell you what I was happy about. Now you just damn near ruined it.
right, exactly. But hold on though. Let me come to you with some negative stuff though. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like now you all tuned in, like, and then what else happened? Hold on, girl, let me get my wine. Like instead of pulling out the wine to congratulate me, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's so like that's why people don't say nothing no more. Like they'll just get into a bubble and they'll just, put on a show and just dying inside, slowly hurting inside because they can't get that out. And I even encourage y'all that's listening that is possibly in that state to, if you don't feel safe talking to someone, start writing it down because you have to get that out. Whatever you are feeling, you have to get it out, whether it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, get it out. Now, when especially if it's a bad feeling or thought or whatever it is, getting it out, writing it down, possibly even a secret that's been eating you up inside that you can't tell nobody, write that down and get it out and burn it, rip it up, whatever you got to do, but get it out. Because if you don't, it's only hurting you. It is literally only hurting you. And I'm saying it from experience. So get you a journal. I got like 3 or 4 like journals. That's not including the notebooks. And I'll just pick it up and start writing sticky notes. I got sticky notes laying all around as y'all
yeah,
see. Just, like,
yeah.
because you got to get it out. Like,
I
so
got 3
keep,
notebooks in myself.
that's what I'm saying. Like, because let me ask you, when did you actually start like writing or even understanding that I gotta get this out? Like, what
Well,
season were you in?
it goes back to like what we're talking about is like obedience. Like if you hear something or not hear something, but if something comes to mind, it's like you said, if you can't tell nobody, you got to write it down because sooner or later there's only so much you can store in your mind. And so it's like, what's kind of a scenario or not scenario example I can use? But anyways, you trying to remember 10,000 things in your mind, you're going to forget at least half of that or not more, 80% of it. And so if you don't write it down, it's like you can go back to it. It's like people will write down a grocery list before they write down their own thoughts. And so you're trying to remember groceries, but at the same time, you can't remember your thoughts. And your thoughts are what control your life. And so you had to be more intentional with your thoughts than your freaking anything else. And so that's why I started to kind of write down because, okay, if I have a random thought that's not even coming from me, it has to mean something. And whether if it happens now or whether if it happens 10 years from now, it's something to look back on. It's like, okay, whether if it's something like if I write it down and I come back to it 3 years later, I see that, okay, that didn't work out. And then see where I'm at in my life. I see why that didn't work out because that would have been a bad avenue to go down. And so it's just stuff like that. You can look back on stuff that you've done, accomplished, or you can look back at stuff that, okay, God had to revert you to this way because going that way, the way you want it to, because half the time in your life it's not for you because people always want this now or this then or whatever like that. It's on their agenda. It's not your agenda. It's his agenda. And so whatever he wants to do for your life, basically you have to be obedient to it. Like we're talking about, you have to be obedient because some of the stuff you want in your life ain't going to happen. Let's just keep it real talk. Some of the stuff in your life, it ain't going to happen because there's a reason why it's not going to happen, because most of the things that you want ain't realistic. And people want to be flying like an airplane. That ain't realistic. So, I mean, it's just, it ain't realistic. You ain't no freaking, I don't know, but I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but it just, I don't know how they say what I want to say, because I think people get too caught up into the unrealistic things to where if they don't hit this certain milestone of $100 trillion, they're going to be unhappy. And I think happiness comes from just being obedient to small things. Like we just talked about writing down something in a book, or not a book, but like a notebook. You wrote it down. That's check mark one. You accomplished it 5 months later. You forgot about what you wrote down, but you still accomplished it. And you go back and look at it. That makes you happy all over again. So you're happy. Like, stop thinking about, and I'm talking to myself as well. It's like, stop thinking about the milestone you're trying to reach 10, 20 years from now. Think about what you can accomplish tomorrow.
I love that. And that even reminded me of, I watched this clip with Steve Harvey, and he said, if you wanted to pretty much change your life, you have to change like your thoughts and I'll take that a lot back. Write it down and make it plain. What's the actual topic? Write it down and make it plain. So he said to do a list of 200 things and to look at that in the morning when you get up and before you lay down. And then the next day, you'll go through and you will check off things that you actually want to accomplish or need or whatever the case may be. And I actually went back and looked in one of my notebooks about a week or two ago. And out of the 200, y'all, like, I got some check marks. So it was just like encouraging, because I was at a point where it's like, oh my God, like, what is it worth it? Like, can I just, what is it? And then to know that it's not going void, like it's actually helping, it's impacting. So it's just keep going so that you can keep growing. Like, for real, because you will never know how far you can get if you just quit.
That's real. And just understand, like, seeds that you planted 5 years ago, 10 years ago, sometimes you're not reaping that harvest until now. So it's like society puts so much pressure on us, and to me, it's all from a financial standpoint. I'm not where I want to be financially, right? Let's be real. That's where most people, they hit a certain birthday, they feel like, man, I should be so further along than I am right now. But if you get deeper into that question, in what way? Financially. You missing all the growth. You're not even thinking the same no more. You're not even moving the same. You're not even hanging with the same messed up crowd that you used to hang out. You're not even doing the same ruthless stuff that you used to. But because you're not where you want to be financially, you feel like your life, like you failing. And it's just so crazy to me, because it blinds us. It blinds us. And then it makes more sense. It started making more sense to me why, like, God says you can't serve him and money at the same time. You can't, because you either gonna love one and despise the other. And so Man, when that registered to me, like it made me understand why he says that, because you can't be fulfilled. Money won't fulfill you. You just won't be fulfilled in that at all. And if you so after chasing money, I bet you 10 times out of 10, your relationship with God ain't where it needs to be. There's no spiritual growth happening. That's it. Like if money is the thing, there's no deep spiritual growth happening. And it just is what it is. But society's not going to say that. And society's going to say, yeah, you tripping because what you mean? I need money for this, money for that. That's true. But God is our source and he is going to supply all of our needs. And sometimes like you can be in a situation, he gonna make sure all your needs are met. You may not be a trillionaire, like what you saying, Jay, like a billionaire making all this type of money, but all your needs met. You got good health, you got peace, you have a beautiful family, you joyful, y'all, you know what I mean? And we will sit there and be like, oh, whatever, that's not enough. That's not enough.
Yeah.
I'm not making the $1 million that I put on this thing. And it's really like we beating and pressuring ourselves. And that's why it's so hard to really, and that's why he's saying seek him first so everything can be given. So all that other stuff, that's not what's driving us. You get what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I can go on with this, but it's just so sad when I see people and it bothers. It's like it's the agitation for me in not in a negative way, but it's like you are enough. Stop beating yourself up thinking, oh, because you 30 or you 35 and you're not making the money you want to make. Maybe God had a different route for you. Maybe he wanted you to learn so many different other things first, and then he gonna flow that in so you will understand where your help comes from. Because I think about it, if I would have got everything I wanted early, I'll be bruh, I'll be in a stretch. I'm not even trying to be funny, but like probably, I don't know, out of my mind. Like, or just would have lost everything or wouldn't have no understanding at all. But now my appreciation is on a whole nother level and understanding. And it's all because of God. It has nothing to do with money. Now I understand money can never feel nothing for me. I done seen God done put us in position where we seen millionaires, multi-millionaires lose all their stuff. I've seen it. Where now they jumping from here to here, trying to figure it out. Like now it's to the point where some people lost sight of themselves and they trying to regain that back. Now just imagine you have this pressure, this making all this money and now you lose all of it and you having to figure yourself out and you was leading people. No, I thank you, Lord. I thank God for the process he took me through, because gaining all the gems first, then that's so much better to me. I know I went on for a minute, but
no, that's kind of like what you basically said earlier. It's like, okay, focus on the knowledge, because they'd always say, like, high level people, the smart ones, I guess you could say, smart ones will always say, you throw me anywhere in this world and I'll still make whatever I need to make, because they have the level of knowledge. It's money is not the important part of it. It's the knowledge you gain. And so if you don't understand, or you're not obedient to like learning, like constantly learning the world, you're never going to get where you need to get, because you don't know how to adapt. And most people, like you said earlier, it's like the main key thing people always want is I need. Half the time when you need, you're actually pushing it more away from you. And so what do you really need? The real question you should ask yourself is like, am I deserving of it? And so if you can be honest with yourself, are you really deserving of it? Because in my opinion, I don't think you really are, because if you're stressing like that, there's other areas you must be stressing at, because if you're going to stress that much over money, and like you said, instead of relying on the source, then while you think he would really just supply you with that need, you're still surviving technically. So why aren't you grateful for that? Instead of wanting more when you can't do this area, or or say, for instance, you're lacking in this area, but you need money, or you need this, or you need that. You don't really need anything. You got what you need. You got, actually, let me change that around. You got what you can handle.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it right there.
And so if you want this or you want more, you ain't gonna be able to handle it. And so why would he give you more when you can't even handle your own situation at the current state?
Thanks. And we
Like you said, when
my bad name.
Nah, just like you say, when much is given, much more is required.
Thanks. Yeah, man. Cause you at that level, to me, especially like if you walking in purpose, it's not like what we were saying in the beginning. It's not just you that you're having to worry about, because now you walking in purpose, and God, I feel like God ties everybody's purpose into people in some type of way, whatever it is. And so it helping people in some type of way. So it's not saying that, you know, you never gonna go through nothing when you do obtain whatever goal that you're trying to reach, but you're gonna be helping people, other people, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to be able to handle what comes with that, because if I'm trying to teach people about finances, but I'm constantly losing money, like that's gonna be tough to be teaching people about that. And that's not even keeping your integrity, because you get what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, you just, like James said, you got to be able to handle it's, and I think you got to be able to handle it. And the more you invest in yourself, the more you will grow your capacity to be able to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So what are some things that you guys can definitely give to the listeners out here to be able to help them on their journey today?
I would say just personally work on yourself. Don't worry about anything else, just work on yourself. Because when you work on yourself, everything else will fall in line. The quicker you do that, the quicker everything else will fall in line. And it ain't gonna be easy. So it ain't gonna be like, okay, I work on myself for a day. No, you gotta do it every day. You still alive, so that means you getting worked on. So you gotta do it every single day. So that's what I would say.
Yes, sir. I would say what we talked about earlier is just, know that what you're going through is not for you. Just keep that in mind. Anytime that you face with a challenge, just know that there's someone else that's going to need your keys to help unlock their door, to help them keep walking through and giving them hope. And when you get through, you're able to do just that. But so always keep that in mind and don't get discouraged about your situation or the challenge that you may be faced with.
Yeah, I love that. And I would definitely just say that when you do hear that voice telling you to do something, just do it. Don't hold back, even with your heart beating fast. Like, feel the fear and do it anyway, because it's not for you, it's for someone else. And just know your role and play that like to the best of your ability. And the the best part about that is that it's your position. Like, it's your position, so you don't have to try to imitate anyone else or try to be like it's your position. So you just play that and continue to build and grow in that, and like it'll just go smoothly. And I just want to say this too, like what happened to me before I got online today. I was at the store and I had literally just ran to the ATM because we also have a financial peace class that we have with GSN. And one of the things is like just taking everything off of the cards and just using the cash and just putting it where it needs to be. So that's what I was doing. And I was like, okay, Father, okay. So I'm doing that. And then I'm literally getting ready to back out. And a lady came out the store and God was just like, give her something. And I was like, Lord, you are. Now I just wrote down everything that all right, I'm gonna just go ahead and do it. So I walked over to her window, and she already looking like, oh my goodness, what is she doing? And I just put it like pretty much just in her car, and I told her that God told me to give her that. And like her eyes just started like tearing up. And she was like, I know that was nobody but God, because I literally just left church and I was just saying, God, just take it all. And you come over here and do this. And it's just like, I just want to tell you thank you. And I was like, no, don't thank me, give it out to God. She said, no, that's what we have to realize too. We have to encourage and thank those that is actually listening and being obedient. Because you didn't have to listen. You didn't have to be obedient. You didn't have to come bring this. Like, I don't even know if this is your last. I don't even know you. You don't know me. What is your name, by the way? And so, I just started laughing and I told her my name. And she was like, you just keep doing what you're supposed to do. And you just continue to listen to his voice. She was like, because he got something big for you. And I just smiled and I was like, man, you keep listening to and doing what you're supposed to. And I went and, got in the car. So again, you never know what someone is going through. Like, so just imagine if I didn't listen and just she went on about her way, I went on about my way. Like, it's no telling what would have happened because of what was put out. So it's just keep being you.
Man, that's dope, Nay. Thanks for sharing that. Cause like, and it like the picture that came to my mind was like a funnel or like a tube with water flowing through it. And like when you're a vessel and when you have that mindset, that that perspective, God can get stuff to you and he's going because you're gonna flow it. That's a whole nother topic, but
man, I was just going to say,
if you think about a tube, when you don't do like what Nate was talking about, or in what we've been talking about this episode, if you don't do that, it's like, think about something clogging up the pipe. You're clogging up the flow. But when you're allowing God to use you and you just understand your position, your assignment, your purpose, all of that, it can just flow. And then God can get more stuff to you because he knows you're going to get it out to his people because we're his hands and feet. So that's what I thought about. Sorry, but that's what I thought about.
That's a whole nother podcast.
It is.
Right. Stay tuned for it.
Yeah.
How is your funnel flowing?
There you go. There you go. Mm-hmm. Well, that's GSN Growth Talk episode 9. Glad you guys stay tuned for the time that we've been on here. But yeah, that's episode 9. Hope you guys enjoyed. Comment, like, and share, or subscribe to this, and we will see you guys on the next podcast. So peace out.